Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Runnin on Scuffs. I am your host, Justin Seeger, here inside the Scuff studio. We're back once again. I know some people are still getting used to the time change, and I'm not just talking about daylight savings time. I'm talking about us being on Thursdays, but we're here, we're back, we're ready to get rolling, and we've got another great weekend of racing to talk about. One in Phoenix that happened last weekend, and then we've got another race weekend in Las Vegas to talk about later today, or later in the show. But before we do that, if you haven't seen our faces or heard our voices before, let's get some introductions. First of all, to my right, Mr. Dan Foster, our resident Florida man. Dan, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. Had a lovely weekend and a fun week so far. But we're here to talk NASCAR tonight. So we had a weekend in Phoenix that I thought was probably one of the better races we've had at Phoenix in a while. So yeah, I'm here to talk about it. Have fun.
It seems that a lot of fans seem to agree with you, and we'll talk about that as we get into our race review segment. But yeah, it's we had a good race weekend in Phoenix, and Mr. Mike Daffner, your driver did not cause too much chaos this time. So anytime we can say that, it's a pretty decent weekend. So
Yeah,
what say you for your opening comments?
I'm just happy to be here as always. It was a pretty good race. I agree with Dan on that part, but yeah, Hocevar didn't get it done that well. But how about Reddick with a 1-1-1-8 to start the season? Like, if when you go into a points style season, that's about as good of a start as you're gonna have.
That's a pretty solid start for Tyler Reddick for sure. We'll be talking about him as we get into it. And so this is our panel that we'll be talking with tonight. Mr. Tom Willoughby is currently out tonight. We've got some love in the comments already. Hello to Mama Seeger and Marley and Mike Hora as well. Mike, I'm hoping that you do not. I'm hoping that you succeed in not setting your toolbox on fire and ride it across the work parking lot. That wouldn't be a good thing.
If
Um,
you're gonna do it, record it because I want to see it.
we could put it on the live, but
Yeah.
if we're going to put it on the show, then we'd have to have help from somebody who's behind the scenes. She was not here last week, but we talked about it, and we were going to bring her up just for a moment. Our brand new show producer, uh, actually, a little bit of blast from the past, if you will, for running on Scuffs. Our original producer, Peyton Lore, is back. Peyton, if you want to bring yourself up, how are you doing this evening, man?
Hello. I'm sure all of you missed my monotone voice and lack of enthusiasm
It's all I've
unless I'm playing Fortnite.
it's all I've thought about for the last 4 years. Like honestly, it's just getting you back onto the show and hearing that monotone voice every week. So we're glad to have you.
I'm glad to be here,
Uh,
and it's been a heck of a week, but here we are.
yeah, we're glad to have you here. So for those who don't know, Peyton is going to be really and truly serving in that producer role, where she can keep us on pace. She'll be behind the scenes, so hopefully these shows might actually be closer to an hour in time. We'll see how we get. Dan's already shaking his head no. We know how it's going to go, but
I wish her luck.
glad, yeah. Good luck. I know it's a little easier maybe keeping one person on track with Logan on Wednesdays. Um, but
Have you met Logan?
I have met Logan. He's a wonderful person, and don't tell my fiance, but the love of my life. And so if you're not watching him on him and Peyton on Wednesdays on the Racing Angle, be sure to check them out. But they've been gracious enough to lend Peyton to us on Thursdays. So we look forward. We look forward to having her with us behind the scenes, running things on the show. So Peyton, we're glad you're here, and we appreciate all the help that you're giving us here.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, with that, we've got a great show for you guys tonight. We've got a race review segment to do. We've got to talk about Phoenix. We've got a couple of Scuff stories. I didn't put that in the script because there's really only a couple to talk about, but we do have a couple of Scuff stories to talk about. Then we have a hopefully a brand new segment to introduce. Something that we haven't done something that we've not done on the show before. So I'll introduce that when we get to that point. And then, of course, we'll wrap it up with a race preview segment. We'll preview Las Vegas, and then we'll wrap up the show from there. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. If you're not already, check us out on all of our social media platforms. Like this video. We want to get as many opinions and voices in the chat as possible, so be sure to like it and share it if you have not already. And be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms and check out our website as well. So with that, we've got a race to talk about from last weekend. So let's hop into our race review segment. All right, so Phoenix, this is one of those tracks. I don't know how you guys feel, but this is one of those tracks that I never look forward to reviewing because I always feel like there's not a whole lot to talk about. And maybe, just maybe, that'll change tonight because there was a little bit of action from Phoenix. But let's hop right into the Cup Sunday's Cup race. Ryan Blaney, I see Mama Seeger in the comments already talking about Peyton being happy about the winner at Phoenix. Ryan Blaney battles back, as you can see in the title of the video. Ryan Blaney battled back from adversity a couple of times in that race, but he was the car to beat, or at least one of the cars to beat. He picks up the win at Phoenix, his first win of 2026. And ultimately, we've got Ryan Blaney victory lane before we got a Hendrick Motorsports victory lane, and that is something that we can all celebrate. But nonetheless, Dan, what are your thoughts on Ryan Blaney's efforts at Phoenix?
Well, I know we talked briefly last week about Penske winning it again. I think Mike Hora maybe made a comment, and Tom, was pretty adamant that he didn't think it was going to happen, but here we are. It's another Phoenix race and another Penske winner. I mean, I know back in the day, a lot of people thought, Roush pretty much dominated Michigan. At this point, if it's a race at Phoenix, we're just going to give it to Penske. It's either going to be a Logano or Blaney. Sorry, Cindric, but I don't think you have it in you. But yeah, I mean, again, it's one of these things where you don't expect it to happen, but yet somehow, yet again, here we are. And congrats to Blaney by all means. And I think that the squirrel that lives on his upper lip now may be a good luck charm, so maybe he should keep it. I don't know. But yeah, I think overall, it was a good race for him. And I think a lot of people didn't see it coming for it to kind of be seen coming down the road. So yeah, I thought it was quite impressive.
I see Mike Hora in the comments. He's talking about the Cody Ware 24th, which is about 13 spots higher than one of my drivers finished. So, I can't say anything more than just good for Cody Ware to be 32nd in points. And fun fact, Mike Hora, if he can hold on to that 32nd in points for a few more weeks, he may have a shot at the in-season tournament. Which, hey, for a team like Cody Ware, that might be something that they look forward to. Maybe they want to be 32nd points and get into the in-season tournament. I see Logan Morris in the comments. Hey, buddy, how you doing? And Marley agrees with you, Dan, that Phoenix will always scream kind of a Penske track to her. I agree. I don't know what Tom. I don't know what Tom was thinking about. I'm going to talk about him while he's not here.
I mean, in the last 3 spring races, they haven't won it. So I get where he was coming from, but
that's fair.
Fall races, and yeah.
But I don't know. This has just been a Penske track. Obviously, I felt that Penske was going to put a strong foot forward because they wanted to do the double with IndyCar being there as well, which they did successfully do. We don't cover IndyCar here, but just since there was a double header with NASCAR, we might as well point out Joseph Newgarden also won the Phoenix race for IndyCar Saturday. So I think, I think, I really think that, I think Penske wanted this win, and ultimately, because all 3 of their cars qualified in the top 5. Logano ran strong in stage 1, and really throughout the whole day. I think Logano was probably a solid 3rd place car until he wrecked. And then ultimately, I think Ryan Blaney was just the car to beat, I think. Let's talk real quickly about if there was any driver who was in contention to beat. If there was any driver in contention to beat Blaney, it was Christopher Bell in the 20. And they mentioned it on the broadcast. It really wouldn't surprise anybody that this was the battle, right? It doesn't surprise anybody that the battle here was Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell. Ryan Blaney won the fall race back in 2025, and Bell won the spring race back in 2025 and 2024. So it doesn't really surprise anybody that we're talking about Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell here at Phoenix. But I want to talk about why Christopher Bell lost the race. Is it just that Blaney was as strong as he was, or was it the late race strategy that ultimately did it for Bell? And I noticed Tom's not here, but Tom mentioned in our private chat that he felt that it was the strategy where Bell chose to take 4 tires on the late race caution, where Blaney decided to take 2 tires, and even mentioned the 2025 championship race where Denny Hamlin heartbreakingly lost the championship due to the same call. And I'm going to pass this over to Dan here in just a second. But I think that just my own personal thoughts on this, I don't think that was really the case. I think Blaney just had that strong of a car. And I don't think it's that the strategy didn't work for Bell, because this caution came out, unlike the caution in the championship race last year. This caution came out with 19 laps to go. And they even with another caution that came in place, there was still, 9 laps of green flag racing to run for Bell. So I don't necessarily think this is the exact same scenario with that. Dan,
sorry.
No, you're good. Mike, I'll go to you in just a second.
Yeah.
And what's your thoughts? Do you think it was the Blaney having a good car, or was it the strategy?
I think it's a little bit of both, but overall, I feel like the top reason was just Blaney being dominant. I feel like for pretty much most of the day, he definitely was the car to beat as far as, pace and everything else. And I think that, when you're in that shot, you have to kind of do everything you can. And I think and JGR's mind at the time was, all right, we need 4 fresh tires. Give us the best setup and best car we got. But then when you only have 19 laps and two cautions essentially at that point, you don't really have as much time to really get back up there. But I think overall Blaney just had the best car all day, at least at that point during the race. And even with the lack of, I guess, tires that he had compared to Bell, it just played out the way it did. And I think again, like last season with the championship, JGR crew chief is going to be kicking themselves for making that decision, because it may not have won them the race, but it may have got them a better shot at it if they would have changed their strategy a little bit.
That's possible. Mike, what are your thoughts on it?
Okay, so my first thought on Phoenix is I think it ended up being the strategy, because if that race had been like 5 laps longer, I think Bell would have caught Blaney. There wasn't enough time for it to work. But then a couple other things about Phoenix. One, we're 4 races into the season and Chevy still doesn't have a win. Like, that's kind of big to me. And yeah, I mean, what Mike Horace said of the Blaney now having a better average finish at Phoenix than Harvick when Harvick was dominant for years, that was just huge.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Blaney, there's no doubt that he is a perennial contender whenever we come to Phoenix, and I'm sure when we come back here in the fall, I'm sure he'll be in even better of a position, and it'll be even better for him because it'll be looking for a championship, hopefully for Blaney, or at least another step along the way of the chase. I don't know. I think if I were to blame anything for Christopher Bell, for Bell's loss here, for me, I feel like it's the caution with 12 to go. Because if y'all remember, it was the caution before that where they made this pit stop decision, and then they went green, and then there was another caution that happened right there, and I think it just put enough of a cycle on those tires to where it just, plus it took away some of Bell's time. Like Mike, you said, if he'd have had 5 more green flag laps, he probably would have had Blaney. If that caution doesn't happen, I think Bell had those 5 more green flag laps.
I agree.
To catch Blaney.
I definitely agree.
And
I think they said on the broadcast Blaney passed like 46 cars total.
Yeah.
On the day. Like, that's insane.
I think on equal tires, I think Blaney had the better car.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
No matter what, I think Bell was a strong second place car, but I think Blaney just was better.
Yeah, that 12 lap caution, that was the nail in the coffin, because you're right, he'd have caught him if it weren't for that.
Yeah, I think that's what did it for Bell. That 4 tire. So I don't think it was necessarily like reminiscent of Denny Hamlin losing the championship to Larson, because that was an overtime, restart. That was a 2-lap shootout anyway. But ultimately, I think what did it was that last caution that came out. And I also don't think Christopher Bell's teammate, Ty Gibbs, made it any easier either, because Bell had to battle with Ty Gibbs for like 3 laps before he even got clear of him to go chase down Blaney. Which, I mean, we've seen plenty of historical context of Ty Gibbs not being a good teammate. So if you want to go back and look at his Xfinity championship run, you can go find that out, or if you can just find Brandon Jones, I'm sure he'll tell you. So Ty Gibbs is not necessarily known for being a good teammate in that way. But I do want to talk about a teammate of Christopher Bell. And it's my show. We get to do this. No, I'm kidding. Let's talk about Chase Briscoe. Because I'm gonna make a bold statement here, and you can tell me I'm putting on my rose-colored glasses if you want. I think Chase Briscoe has looked like the most impressive driver of the 2026 season so far as running position goes, but he has absolutely nothing to show for it. I think if you go back and you look at the Daytona 500, if you look at Atlanta, if you look at Coda, and if you look at Phoenix, maybe he wasn't the best driver, but he was running inside the top 5, inside the top 10, pretty much every one of these races, and he's still sitting 37th in points. Keep in mind, we only have 36 full-time drivers. This is where Briscoe's at, and so I'm going to take off my rose-colored glasses, and I want to give it to you guys. Tell me what you think about Chase Briscoe right now. Are we, Dan? I know we're only 4 races in, but are we in panic mode for the 19 team?
Panic mode, no. But if we don't see traction quickly, then yes. I think with JGR specifically, the expectations are you run top 5, top 10, pretty much every race, except maybe Ty Gibbs. We know he has the silver spoon, so he can run 25th and be fine. But I think with JGR that if you're not running top 10, top 15, at least they're going to be looking and saying, all right, what's wrong? What are we doing? What do we need to change? And I mean, like you said, he's hitting 37th in points right now. That's behind every full-time driver plus a part-timer, and that's not standard. That is not okay in JGR equipment. So if we're sitting 7-8 weeks in and he's still sitting outside the top 25, then okay, yeah, full-blown panic mode. But we're still kind of early. The points gap isn't terrible. It's still quite a bit to overcome. But I think once you get past 6, 7, 8 races and you're still 150 points out of the top 10 or top 16 essentially with the playoffs or the chase as it is now, I think that's really where panic mode's going to set in, and you're going to be like, oh crap, we're up the creek at this point. So if they don't turn things around and get the finish, obviously, like you said, they're running good. Like they have the speed, they have the equipment. It's putting it all together and getting the finish, whether it's their fault or not, if they get in a crash or something like that. But overall, you got to have the results to back it up, especially at a team like JGR. I mean, they're rivaled essentially as the being the best team in NASCAR, and then you have a driver who's sitting outside the top 35 in points. Like, what is this? This isn't acceptable. So I'm interested to see the next 3 or 4 weeks, but not quite panic mode yet. The hand's hovering over the button, but it's not quite there yet.
No, I misspoke, by the way, on that. Briscoe finished 37th in the race at Phoenix. He is 33rd in points. Still an abysmal situation for the 19 team, especially considering the runs they have gotten so far. I mean, it's not for lack of speed in the 19 camp. It's the fact that they have something. There's a couple of comments that I want to talk about from Mike Hora because I think both of these are really solid comments to look at. First of all, let's talk about on the flip side of this point scenario where Briscoe's in an abysmal state. We've made it through 4 races, 3 of them being ovals, granted 2 of them being drafting tracks, but 4 races, including a more or less cookie cutter oval, and SVG is still sitting 5th in points. And he was sitting, he was running towards the front at Phoenix. So, SVG's learning these ovals, and I will be the first to admit that I was wrong about SVG because I've got a somewhere floating in the abyss. There's a statement of me, saying that SVG was so low in points because he sucked, and apparently I'm happy to say that that's not the case, at least not so far. in 2026. He's done very well to start out the year.
But I mean, if you think about it, he's doing what you want your driver to do, especially someone who doesn't have the NASCAR experience. He's coming back to these tracks for the second and third time, so he's learning. He's getting into his groove. You know, they call it the sophomore slump back in the day. After your rookie year, you have a terrible sophomore slump. I don't see that coming from SVG. He's too used to these cars as far as his style and the way that they drive that it's just all steam ahead for him.
One, it's interesting because SVG from an age perspective, is kind of getting into that what we consider a hot spot peak for NASCAR drivers, but he's so young in as far as NASCAR experience is concerned. So maybe maybe that experience and that age actually helps him out as opposed to some of these other rookies. Mike, what's your thoughts on SVG and where he's sitting at currently?
I mean, he's been incredible. There's nothing else to say. I mean, of course, this is the year that the playoffs go away because I had said last year I thought he was going to make a deep playoff run. This year, he looks poised to be making a championship run this early on.
Yeah, it's definitely something where we can, I think when we get if he keeps on this trajectory, assuming that if he can get some wins, which I'm sure by the time we get to road courses, I know like he's going to pick up some victories. If he can keep running consistently on the ovals, I don't know how comfortable I feel talking championship for the 97 yet, but I could see I think with the chase being back, I think we are looking at a time where getting a top 10 in points is going to mean a lot more. And I think we could be talking about that with SVG. But with that, let's real quick, let's talk about the race as a whole. And we had some tires going down. We had a record amount of cautions for Phoenix. So just real quick, Mike, you're our chaos guy. Was Phoenix kind of a cookie cutter race, or was it kind of controlled chaos?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
That's fair. That's a good way of putting it. So overall, I know you both kind of mentioned this to start off the show. Dan, I'll go to you. Do you think Phoenix was a good race for this spring?
It's definitely an improvement over what we've been known to see at Phoenix. I still think there's room for improvement. I mean, pretty much every race that I watch, I feel like there's always one little thing that I would change to make it a little bit better. But I think overall we're heading in the right direction. I think with the changes NASCAR's made over the offseason, with the packages and stuff like that, we're definitely heading in the right direction. I don't know what else really to adjust because I'm not an engineer. I don't know all that stuff, but I think we're definitely getting close to hitting the nail on the head with this one and saying, all right, we got what we're looking for. The fans are happy, the teams are happy, the drivers are happy. So let's move forward from here. But we're just inching ever so closely to it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think this was a pretty decent race for Phoenix, and this was not the only race that happened this weekend as far as NASCAR is concerned. So real quick, we're going to cover the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts race where Justin Allgaier wins at Phoenix. And for those of you in the comments and here on the panel, I need y'all's opinion on this, okay? Because I thought that just because Justin Allgaier picked up his third win in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series at Phoenix, obviously his most recent one was the championship victory that he got there. So, but I need your help. Am I wrong? Because I thought that when we were talking about when we talked about Justin Allgaier at Phoenix, we were basically talking about the Xfinity version of Kevin Harvick. Like, am I the only one that thought that Allgaier had just straight up dominated Phoenix in the past?
Dominated a strong word, but been good there, yes.
I thought,
Dominated, no.
look, I thought we were talking like Allgaier had like 10 trophies from Phoenix. Like, I don't know where I got that, but like I thought that Allgaier had just like straight up dominated Phoenix. And when they said that he was getting his third win there, I was like, "There's no way." But it's true. This is, I don't know. I needed to know if I was the only one experiencing that Mandela effect for Justin Allgaier at Phoenix, because I thought we were talking about like Kevin Harvick levels of domination.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, we pretty much were. He's got an average finish in his career of 9.2 there, and out of 32 races, he's finished in the top 10 22 times. So maybe he's just dominated the races and just hasn't had the luck at the end to win it.
Maybe so. I don't know. I thought like we were talking about something a lot more dominant than just three trips to victory lane there. But nonetheless, talking about real close to victory lane at Phoenix, Carson Kvapil, his teammate, was probably one green flag run away from his first career win, and still got a solid finish. I believe he finished third, but just a what might have been for Carson Kvapil, and that's one that very similarly to Josh Berry. I think when he was at the Xfinity level, I think he's one that we really want to see do well and get those victories. Mike, did you have something else to add?
I was just going to say, since the 2020 fall race, Justin Allgaier has finished worse than 10th twice. And in the last 4 ORAPS races there, he has finished second, let me make sure I got it right here. Second, fifth, and first. So you're remembering properly that he dominates Phoenix. It's just he doesn't have the wins to show for it.
I guess so. I guess that's what it is. And that's fair. So maybe he is dominant, just not as dominant as I had originally thought, as far as like trips to victory lane. Let me know in the comments, because I'm genuinely curious if anyone else also had that thought about Justin Allgaier at that level. Yeah, well, Mike Cora had his own Mandela effect because he said that he thought Kvapil had won already. So he's still looking for that first. He's been very dominant, probably because Kvapil was in the Final Four last year. That probably that might be where that came from. But nonetheless, we've got a pivot. And before I get into this brand new segment, I do have a couple of Scuff stories to talk about. So we're going to jump into a Scuff Stories style segment just for a brief moment. Number one, first and foremost on this Scuff Stories, it has been confirmed, and it's good that we're talking about Justin Allgaier because Alex Bowman has been confirmed that he will not be racing at Las Vegas. This is presumably a part of a much longer battle with Vertigo for Bowman, and so our thoughts and our prayers are with him, and really hoping that Bowman can recover quickly from this bout with Vertigo. But in the meantime, driving the 48 in his place instead of Anthony Alfredo, which was the driver for Phoenix, they have tabbed Justin Allgaier to drive the 48. The last time we saw Allgaier in a Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet was driving the 5 at the 2024 Coke 600. And believe it or not, he actually was running inside the top 10 there at Charlotte. So we'll see what Allgaier can do. Dan, what are your thoughts? Is this has got to be a better pick than Alfredo, right?
Yeah, I mean, statistically, you can't say that's not the case, but you know, when you were talking about that he's going to kind of fill in, possibly for a long term situation, going forward. We don't know exactly when Bowman's going to be back, but it kind of threw me back to 2001, 2002 era Kenny Wallace, when he was known as a super sub, and where whoever one of the top drivers got injured, if they were a full-time driver, he'd fill in, and he'd run basically full-time for the team. I mean, he filled in for Steve Park back in the day in 2001, and that's exactly who I thought of whenever you mentioned that he's going to be filling in again for Hendrick Motorsports, because these teams at this point are kind of pulling the F1 route where they have that designated backup driver. A lot of them are their sim driver, which is what Anthony Alfredo was last week. But I think for Hendrick overall, because Allgaier has been with JRM, which is an affiliate of Hendrick, for so long, that it's kind of just a natural fit for him to fill in and run those races. And again, statistically, you can't say Alfredo's a better driver than Allgaier. Allgaier just has the stats to back it up. So I'm excited to see what Allgaier can do with an actual car that's set up for him to run in the Cup Series. Granted, we've seen it the last few years at Daytona, but that's Daytona. That's a completely different ball game. So I think it's a good opportunity for Allgaier to show that he's still Cup level driver. He just unfortunately doesn't have the backing to support that at the moment. But I think you can expect at least a good top 10, top 15 from him, just like we saw 2 years ago at the Coke 600. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I think so. I'm excited to see what Allgaier can do in the 48 and see if he can get a solid run at Vegas and presumably beyond. We don't know how long Bowman will for sure be out. We don't know that Allgaier is going to be the fill-in for all of those races. We're just not sure yet. Hendrick Motorsports may be unsure at this point. So our other piece of news, we kind of saw this coming because really at this point, no amount of silly season news can ever fully go unnoticed. But Jimmy Johnson on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio officially confirmed this. And Logan, I hope you're in the comments somewhere, or at least I hope you're out there celebrating responsibly, because Jimmy Johnson announced that Legacy Motor Club will officially be a 3-car team in 2027. So there will be a third car to show up and finish 27th on the lease. I'm kidding. Not really. Just look at the leaderboard. But I know right now Logan's going to come back at me with something about Chase Briscoe. I know he is. Like he's going to come back with something about Briscoe. But anyways, I don't know. How do you feel? I know my thoughts on this just from a team standpoint. I feel like it's better for a team like Legacy to focus on getting the 2 entries you have better before we go adding a third. But RFK also took this route. I mean, you could argue that the 6 and the 17 weren't really doing that well when they added Ryan Preece. And maybe they just I don't know. Maybe they decided to go a different route, and maybe high tide rises all ships. Mike, I see you shaking your head. What are your thoughts on this addition for Legacy? Is it too soon?
I think Legacy should focus on getting a car into victory lane before adding a third one.
I'm inclined to agree on that. I don't know what the thoughts are. I feel like they need to figure out what's going on in their front office, because it seems like, especially there for a while, like last year, they were like bringing on some kind of new leadership role there. Dan, what's your thoughts on Legacy adding a third car?
You got to remember, guys, NASCAR is a completely different sport than what it was in the 90s when results led to growth. Now, money leads to growth. Growth leads to more money. It's all about business. These teams make more money when they have more cars. That's all it is. That's the only reasoning behind this, is that they know the team will make more money and charter money, because each charter team is designated X amount of dollars minimum every year. So the teams are going to make more money by having more cars.
So with this addition, do you think that it helps boost their performance on track? Or
I think it can. I mean, you mentioned RFK. I think before they brought in Priest, like I said, it could have been argued that they weren't the best, and they're still not the top team, especially the top Ford team with Penske. But I do think that as a whole, those three cars are running a lot better than they would have been. I mean, you got Priest, who's, I think all three of them were in the top 15 in points last week before the race. So I haven't seen where they shook out after that. But I mean, they were all three in the top 15 to 20 most of last season. Priest was a little bit further behind because he had a little more issues. But I mean, for the most part, I would say RFK as a whole has taken a step forward, having that third car. And obviously they brought a fourth car to the 500 with Cora LaJoy that didn't make the race. But I think more money, more resources, better chance at improving. Don't think it's a guarantee. I mean, we've seen Rick Ware Racing run 4 cars and still finish 36, 37, 38, 39th. So, I mean, at what point it's really up to the teams to say, okay, we're going to take this money and actually use it productively, or we're just going to waste it away and buying more equipment and paying to rebuild cars that get wrecked by my son who drives the cars. I mean, it's really, which side of the spectrum are you on?
Yeah, but is Legacy really going to make any more money when they've just got a third car that's going to wreck every week?
I mean, it depends on the driver. I mean, we don't know who the driver's going to be.
True. That's true. It's a pretty.
If get a veteran who's known to not wreck your equipment, then
it's going to be Jesse Love.
That's the number one name that I've been hearing, and that was before
this
announcement.
I mean, at this point, like, we know Corey Himes going to the 35 probably for 2311. Like,
hey, if I was Jimmy Johnson, I wouldn't sleep on Riley Herbst, because that man brings money.
I mean, that's true. We could see Riley Herbst as a driver.
He's already locked into Toyota. Just shoot. Hey, your new number is 45. You are 44. You went from 35 to 44.
Yeah,
we don't know that's the number, but it's just an assumption.
Yeah, that's true. We could see that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It'll certainly help their Daytona numbers because that'll add one more to the field, because we know Jimmy Johnson still plans on running the Daytona 500, so we assume that 84 will still be there as an open entry for Jimmy Johnson. So, hey, I'm sure Toyota would love to have another entry in the Daytona 500 field. So we'll see how it goes. Ultimately, not a bad start for Legacy. We'll see who they get. I definitely think Riley Herbst and Jesse Love are the top names to take that ride. And we'll see how they go from there. Real quick, before we hop into our race preview segment, there is one brand new segment that I want to introduce to you, gentlemen. This is a story. We don't always talk about the news, or we don't always have a lot of news to talk about. But sometimes there are things that's not necessarily news, but it's still going around the NASCAR sphere. And with that, I wanted to introduce a brand new segment called Oval Opinions. And this is a segment where we are going to take a look on a popular industry discussion and give our thoughts on it. So without further ado, let's hop into our first segment of Oval Opinions. So just like anywhere else, there are topics that are factual, and typically from those factual topics, there are entire entire conversations that spring off of it that are entirely opinion based, and that is where this comes from. And I got inspiration of this by the topic of today's video. I saw Jeff Gluck on Twitter responding to a commenter that said the since the chase format was back, that they have found their love for NASCAR again, and that they have tuned in more because of the chase, and that they feel the chase makes it easier and better to watch NASCAR. And so I want our take on this, our collective take, and I feel as though I'm setting myself up to be fed to the wolves, and that's okay. Uh, what is your opinion? Do you feel like NASCAR is better or more meaningful to watch now that the chase is back? Dan, you're kind of our historian, so I know you know NASCAR. You've seen it in the Winston format. You've seen it in the chase. You've seen it in the playoffs. We're back to the chase. After these first four races, what do you think?
Meaningful, yes. I think it is a little more meaningful to watch the races, watch every race. Is it as exciting? I mean, that's a matter of opinion. Again, it's what's your style of racing, what's your poison essentially. Like, do you want the beating and banging that we see at some tracks? Like from the 90s, essentially, when we got the bump and run that became famous and stuff like that. Or do you want the fuel mileage races? That, I mean, it's all a matter of opinion. Me personally, I am a fan of fuel mileage racing. I enjoy somebody coming out and dominating a race. Now, I don't like it when the same person dominates every race. Basically, Jimmy Johnson in the early 2000s. But I do enjoy when you have somebody dominate a race. Martin Truex Jr., the Coke 600. We all have seen and talked about that race, and I loved every second of it. This weekend with Ryan Blaney, had no problems with it. I really enjoyed that. But I think for the overall season, for fans to really get engaged, this is going to bring back a lot of the older fans. I feel like, especially towards the end of the season, when the points start to kind of get shaken out, and you're not, oh well, we got 8 guys still in the championship format. No. 2 races from the end of the season, you're going to have 2 or 3 guys maybe that have a chance to make it on points. And I think that's when you're really going to draw in those fans that are the old school style, that are tired of the the winning in and reset every 3 races or whatever. But I mean, it's too early in the season for a lot of people to really see a difference between last season's format and this season's format as far as the style of racing. And I haven't really noticed a lot of the teams racing differently, especially because of the stage points still being, an option to accrue. So I think overall later in the season, yes, it might, change people's outlook on, if they want to watch the race or not. But I think overall right now, it's still just too early to tell because we haven't really had that much of a difference.
Mike, what about you? Do you think the racing is better or easier to watch now that the chase is back?
I like the racing better. And I think it is more exciting. I don't really disagree with anything Dan said, but I do think it is more exciting just from the fact, like, take Briscoe, for example. You have a couple of bad races, and now you've got to claw your way back now that winning you're in is gone. Like, I think it's more exciting just from that perspective that you have to claw your way back in if you have a few bad races at the start of the season.
I can see that. I don't know. You guys know my stance. You guys know that I'm a playoff defender, and I will stand on the hill. I mentioned this during the. You can ask Mama Seeker. I mentioned this during the race on Sunday. I will die on the playoff hill for as long as I live. But look, the playoffs make NASCAR more entertaining. You can say that it's not fair. If you want to pose the argument that NASCAR in the playoff format is not fair, that's totally fine. But you cannot pose to me that NASCAR is more entertaining when we're points racing. It's just not. Like it's the simple fact is that you have drivers that are just okay with running third, and it's just we should not be encouraging drivers to finish third. And Brad Keselowski pointed this out on the Dale Jr. download. He said that, in the playoff format, you would have drivers who would get their spot, who would just win a race and get their spot, and then they have nothing else to race for the regular season. That's not true. Have you not heard? As a matter of fact, winning a race and locking yourself into the playoffs, that makes first place matter more because as a matter of fact, that's the only spot that matters to you because you need playoff points. You need to win stages and you need to win races in the playoff format. So,
but we just talked about it earlier. Carson Kvapil made it to the final four in the what was Xfinity Series without a win. So that completely defeats the whole, oh, well, you got to win races. No, all you got to do is the same thing is you finish up front, just like you did in the playoffs. You finish up front. Don't be the last guy, basically.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to pick the middle ground here. I think the playoff absolutely could have stayed. Just get rid of the win and you're in. That just make it like the playoffs, but with points rather than this win and you're in. Win and you're in was always a bad idea.
I think,
but I want to know what people in the comments think. We got a couple on there.
Yeah, Mama Seeger. So Mama Seeger says that she thinks the racing is entertaining so far this year, and there is a lot more at stake if you don't get the good finishes week to week. Marley said she agrees with me. Always be a playoff format person.
So Justin, let me ask this.
Okay.
Would you prefer a car and team that are out there every week trying to get a top 5, or a driver who goes out, wins the 3rd or 4th race of the season, and now the next 16 races until the playoffs start, they're R&Ding and getting 35th place finishes because they're trying to find something for the playoffs? Because we've had that.
We have had that, and I don't agree with that. And look, I don't. If that's a discussion you want to have, then I would say I agree. I don't. I don't necessarily like it that teams did that. I think teams that do that from a competition standpoint are missing the point of the playoffs. The point of the playoffs is to lock yourself in, and then the point after. I mean, perhaps this is my NASCAR Heat career mode, running here. As soon as I got that first win, presumably in the Daytona 500, from then on, I'm thinking I want to win stages. I want to win races. I want to build that playoff point gap up. That's the idea. I know it didn't always play out that way. And of course I'm a fan of Truex in 2017 when we did see Truex winning stages, winning races, and it built up that playoff point gap. We saw the same thing with Kyle Larson in 2021. So I think it puts yourself in the best position. I do wish the playoff points would have stayed. And Mike, I'm going to reach across to your side of the aisle here. I would have been okay with the chase, but I wish playoff points or chase point, whatever you want to call it, I wish they would have stayed. And rather than us giving points simply for where you were in the regular season, I wish wins and stage wins would have mattered a little bit more. And where you, and then where you start in the chase is based on your own performance, based on those stage wins, based on those race wins, based on the points that you build up for yourself. And if we have 16 drivers that are close together because of the playoff points they earn, so be it. And if we have one driver that's way out front, because like Tyler Reddick right now would have like 16 or 17 playoff points already, just based on where he's at. So I could see something like that. Ultimately, like Ron Calhoun, let's get back to racing on the beach with the real race days. I mean, if you win on the beach, can it lock you into the playoffs? Because that's what I'm hoping. Like,
Justin, you will always know NASCAR, the way they did dirt racing in the Cup, I didn't like it. No Bristol dirt, but I want to see a beach race now. I want to see a sand race. Let's do this.
Hey, I mean, why not? I know at this point, I don't think we'll ever get to a point where we see the playoffs back. I really don't. And that is something that I'm incredibly sad about myself, and I'll always bring it up. As long as we're airing episodes, I'm always going to bring this up. I hope y'all know this. But nonetheless, this was a fun little oval opinion segment. If we see things, some discussions that are happening within the industry, we'll be sure to bring this back, and you guys can continue to give your opinions on it. Do you think the racing's more entertaining now with the chase? Do you think the championship means more with the chase? Or do you prefer the entertainment style of the playoffs like I do? Real quick, I know we're already approaching our hour mark, and Peyton has been very, very diligently behind the scenes trying to keep us on track here. So she's doing great.
It was worth a shot. I mean,
hey, it's her first time back. We'll get back on this. But let's real quick hop into our race preview segment. All right, so we've got a Cup Series race and a NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race at Las Vegas. The first true mile and a half of the season. It's not one that we obviously we had the Atlanta race earlier, but that was a drafting style track, not necessarily what we see a mile and a half. Mike, I want to go back to something that you mentioned in the race review segment. Will we see Hendrick Motorsports or Chevrolet get back into contention for a win here at Las Vegas? And Mike, since you brought it up, I'm going to ask your opinion on that.
I think Chevy gets back in victory lane. I picked him last week. I'm picking him again for Cup. I've got Kyle Busch. I think Kyle Busch comes and finally breaks the winless streak. And then in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, give me Allgaier. I mean, the dude's good at ovals. Let's do it.
Well, that's the interesting pick. I'm interested that you didn't go the Hendrick route with Chevy there. I get the hometown appeal though for Kyle Busch. Dan, what about you? Who are your race picks this weekend?
See, I am taking that Hendrick apple that you just mentioned and pulling it right off that bottom branch because I think by far this is Hendrick's chance to win. I think it's there. Honestly, I think it's theirs to lose. I think it's going to come down to either Kyle Larson or William Byron. That's the two I got. If I had to pick, it's going to be William Byron. I think he has shown that he can pretty much win at any track nowadays, and I think he's definitely going to be poised to get that win. As far as I almost said it. As far as the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series is concerned, there's a guy in the number 1 this weekend. I think he had like 10 or 11 wins last season. So yeah, I'm going to pick that guy, Connor Zillage.
Oh, just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Well, for the Cup Series, I am going to go the opposite route here. I think I think Toyota gets it done. And Mike Cora, I noticed your comment earlier, but I think Denny Hamlin's fire is still right there, and I think his first win, his 61st career win, comes exactly where his 60th career win came last fall. I think Denny Hamlin wins at Vegas, and he gets to have a full circle moment. And I think this is the beginning of something special for Denny Hamlin. Keep in mind, we're only on race number 5 of the season, so Denny Hamlin's still got plenty of time to get something going here. And for the O'Reilly Auto Parts series, I like what you're thinking, Dan, with somebody in the one. He did win a lot of Xfinity races, but I'm thinking of another Cup full timer, and this one actually won an O'Reilly Auto Parts Series championship, and Connor Zilic did not. I'm going to go with Cole Custer in the zero car this weekend.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I think we see Custer getting the victory at the Cup or at the O'Reilly Auto Parts level. So we'll see. Let us know who your picks are for this weekend, but yeah, let us know who your picks are for Cup and O'Reilly's at Las Vegas. And with that, let's wrap up our show. We want to thank everybody for watching. It's been a fantastic week for us. I know some of us have had a harder time than others, but it's great to have all of you here. It's great for us to be watching, talking NASCAR. And Mama Seeger agrees with Dan this week. Let it be known, Dan, that Mama Seeger and I were both right with Blaney last week. So if it was me who had the good luck, then you won't win. But if it was Mama Seeger who had the good luck, then you might be right. Kyle Larson might get the win. So let's close out everything and let's get the closing comments. Mike, what say you for your closing comments tonight?
Always glad to be here talking NASCAR with you folks. And it's gotten a little chilly up in Ohio, but ready for some desert racing this weekend. Again, race hail, praise Dale.
Yeah, it's a little cooler down here as well. But Dan sent out that it's pretty warm down there in Florida, and I don't know about y'all, but the Mississippian in me is about ready for it. So, Dan, what say you for your closing comments?
Yeah, I think it was 92 that I was on my dash yesterday when on my way home that I sent you guys. But yeah, Florida is getting ready for the dog days of summer. Ours starts about 2 months earlier than most of the country. We honestly, it doesn't really leave. It kind of just goes on vacation for a week and then comes back. So unfortunately we're used to it, but thankfully the humidity hasn't set in just quite yet. Although it's the humidity at work is worse than the humidity outside, so I don't know how that works. I thought we had a dehumidifier, but I guess not. But yeah, I'm ready for the spring to I guess disappear after a week. I don't know. We don't really have a spring or a fall, but yeah, we're gonna be racing in Vegas. I'm excited to see that. I sentimentally I hope Kyle Busch gets the win. I know Mike picked him, but sentimentally that's my pick. Realistically, I got to go with Hendrick. I think it's, they're the only big team that hasn't won a race yet, although Gibbs technically hasn't either, but 23 lives an extension of Gibbs, so let's go. Yeah. Oh, hi, Bree. Sorry, I just saw that. So that's my buddy Ron and his wife Bree is commenting as well. So hello, guys. Thank you for tuning in. But yeah, no, I'm ready for an exciting 1.5-mile track. I think, this is the bread and butter of NASCAR, so I think fingers crossed we have another good week.
Yeah, absolutely. We're happy to have everybody for tuning in this week, and thank you to our producer Peyton. Let's bring her back up in here. thank you, Peyton, for keeping the comments going for us, allowing us to stay on track. It might not feel like it, but 7 minutes over an hour is actually much better than we've done anywhere close to in the past. So you kept us a lot more on track than anyone else has.
I was much kinder to you guys than I am to Logan.
Well,
Well,
you're gonna
we
marry Logan,
appreciate
so
it.
you're not gonna marry us. That's fair. We
Look,
appreciate it.
eventually you'll learn to get harsh with us too. Be like, all right, just move on. Like nobody wants to hear Justin talk about the playoffs anymore. We get it. Like I'm gonna get a message in our private chat that says, "Look, Justin, the playoffs are over, and you're just gonna have to deal with it." Like, but anyways, we appreciate you for coming on and being a part of the team once again, Peyton. So, what say you for your closing comments tonight?
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that you guys welcomed me back. And I'm happy that my week last week is over now and things are on the up and up. I look forward to Vegas where Hendrick will probably win, but we're always hoping for a Ryan Blaney win.
That's right. The sentimental favorites. See, I don't. My sentimental favorites never change. My sentimental favorites always Chase Briscoe and Christopher Bell. That's nothing's gonna make me happier than oh, Kyle Busch got a hometown win. I don't care. Chase Briscoe lost. That's my sentimental favorite here. But nonetheless, we're glad to have all of you here, and we can't wait to get back here next Thursday to talk about the racing action at Las Vegas, and then we'll preview Darlington. It's hard to think we're already to a Darlington race on the schedule, but yeah, we'll see you all next week. Hope everyone has a wonderful and safe week, and we hope everybody enjoys the racing at Las Vegas. So we'll see y'all next week.